Hey there, folks. Want to thank you again for joining me. We're discussing the digital nomad life and how to do that. So I have Stephanie here with me. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Stephanie, do me a favor, turn your volume down a little bit just so we won't get any feedback.
All right.
Today we're going to discuss converting physical businesses into digital businesses. And if you have a company, particularly for my professional services people, if you struggle trying to figure out how to get income online with the business that you're already doing, this hopefully will be a really good session for you. So Stephanie, before we start, tell us a little bit about your company and its physical location.
Okay, my the location is in Buffalo, New York,
And what's
in the
the
United
business?
States. I know you do international, so it's in the United States.
Yeah.
Can you hear me good?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a non-emergency medical transportation business, which means non-emergency. Emergency is ambulance. When you have like a medical emergency, but non-emergency is basically just taking individuals to their doctor's appointments, in a non-emergency, but they still have to get to the doctor's appointment. So that's what I do.
And what is the service that you provide? Are you providing the drivers? Are you providing the transportation? Are you training people to do that?
Well, I started my own non-emergency medical transportation company about 7 years ago. I provide the car. You do it in your own car, your own personal car. You get certified from the state of New York, or any state in the United States where you live, and you'll get certified to drive individuals in your own car, and the state will pay you. So that's how I started. But then it kind of spent off to so many people asking me how, I was doing this. They saw me doing it. And so I started classes to teach other people how to do it as well and to get certified with the state.
I love it. So you started teaching classes in a physical location, and you reached out to me because you wanted to learn how to do it online. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
So you were teaching classes in a physical location?
Yes.
And that was profitable. And is COVID what changed things a bit?
Yeah, COVID just changed things.
Hold on. We got some bad feedback on your audio.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Let's try. I'm not sure. Try coming back. Are you using another software to come into this stream? Try coming out and coming back in. Using the same link. I'm gonna pull you off and bring you back in. So we're gonna have Stephanie come back in. We were getting a little bit of feedback, but I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what we're discussing. So Stephanie had a very profitable business of teaching classes in person. We're going to bring Stephanie back, and now it's the time to transition online and how to do that. Let's check Stephanie's volume. How you sounding now, Stephanie? I still hear it. How about close out of everything and then come back in with the same link? And we're going to let Stephanie do that. So the interesting point to realize for those of you who have a physical location is we're going to talk about Google ads that you can potentially look at if you have a physical location where you're trying to get people that are specifically in your area. So in the case of Stephanie, her classes were in a physical location and they were in Buffalo, New York. And because of that, we can talk about some strategies specifically with that. Okay, talk to me, Stephanie. No, keep talking.
Is it better?
That is better. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So you had physical location, you had courses that people came to in person. Is it COVID that changed your business? Of course, with in-person classes stopping?
Right, exactly. COVID changed it. But before COVID hit, I was mentally wanting to transition into online because brick and mortar it's a lot of work. And my class is 4 hours long.
Wow.
So it took a lot of time to do that. So I wanted to transition, but I really just didn't know how. And then COVID hit. So basically, I did do classes over Zoom. I did do that, but it still took a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
It took a lot of my time because I still do work a 9 to 5, actually.
Okay. All right. So for those of you who have the physical location, whether it be a store or whether it be services, we're going to talk about that a little bit. So how did you advertise initially for your store? I mean, for your physical classes?
I advertised a number of ways. It was like old school horse and buggy.
Okay.
You're gonna laugh, but literally, I would see taxi drivers driving for doing the medical transportation for big companies. Big companies had employees that were just the drivers, and the drivers were making minimum wage. So sometimes when I saw them, I would like kind of flag them down, like, "Hey, don't you want to make 100% of the profit?" Instead of 25%. So a lot, I got it like that. Uber drivers, when I got into an Uber and Lyft, I would tell them they can make a lot more money with medical. I put out flyers, word of mouth. People heard I was doing it, so they would call me or call my relatives or people I knew, and they would call me.
Perfect. So I'm going to talk about two options. The first option are for those individuals who have a physical location, and we're going to head on over. Let me share my screen really quickly. We're going to head on over to the basics of Google, because what we want to do is we want to find out who your competitors are in your local area. And so when it's time to create content, it's super easy when it's local because it's just a matter of being better than your actual competitor. So let me head on over to, let's start first with Google. Now, I'm not sure if you've thought about this before, but we're going to do this right now. Have you thought about if someone was looking for this type of job, what are some of the key terms that they would search for?
No, just medical transporting.
Okay, let's just try that and see what comes up in Google. I'm typing with one hand, medical. Is that it? Transport? Guys,
Yeah.
I'm in Lisbon, so you guys are gonna see random Portuguese things pull up. Transportation. Let's do. Oh, you know what? I should have changed my IP address before I did this because, of course, naturally all types of Portugal stuff is coming up because that's where I'm located. Let's see, medical transportation, New York. So we have a series of ads here. Okay, so this is what's first coming up. And let's look at these 24/7 medical flight transportation, exceptional comfort. So some of these look like they could be non-medical taxi access transportation. Okay, so these individuals actually pay for ads, and let's see what's coming up organically. So organically, I have New York. I should have done Buffalo, but let's see who we have. So this Agape Transportation is going to be one of your, well, they're not necessarily your competitor because you are teaching people how to do this individually, correct?
I am. I'm still doing it myself, but I'm still doing it on a personal level, but the class online will be teaching people how to do it actually. And I actually did look up my competitors when I started my business. But I went to the library. I told you I'm horse and buggy. I went to the library with their system, my local library. It tells you everyone that's doing it, how much they make. It gives you all the information on potentially what you can make as well as a small business.
And what key terms did you use to start doing your research? Because I just want to do that online and make it a little bit easier. So what are people searching for that?
I really don't remember. Probably just non-emergency medical transportation.
Emergency transport, non-medical. Okay, there we go. So now let me put and then put NY. Okay, so the Agape Transportation, that was one of the competitors, but they're actually so you can take the approach of coming up with content that's specific to the competitors, but you're not a direct competitor because you are transporting, but your goal is to teach people how to do this process.
Right.
So if anything, let's just see. I just need to know what the key terms, because this isn't an industry I am familiar with.
I do know that people are not giving classes to teach how to do this. It's very competitive.
Perfect.
Very competitive. Like, it was so difficult for me to start my business as, I didn't know if I was a woman or if I was Black. I didn't know what, or both. I don't know. But this is in Buffalo, New York is kind of, very segregated, city as well. So, yeah, it was really hard. So nobody's teaching it at all. Like, nobody. I'm willing to teach people. It was so hard for me to get into this field that I pretty much promised myself I would teach other people how to do it, because there's kind of a monopoly in this city, certain transportation companies, and it's enough out here for all of us.
Okay. So what I would suggest anyone who's watching this to do, like, we're looking at some of the competitors online, but there's a website that's really easy if you're doing some type of in-person service, and that's spyfood.com. And what you can do is you can take a link of a competitor, and you can put their, let me think of just a random company right now, not any of them to show, but I forgot, I didn't put my VPN on, guys. So all of my stuff is, of course, in Portugal, and some of the websites won't let me go to them because I'm out of the country. So let's just do a generic location, and I'm gonna walk you through the process of how you can do this for your physical business. So doing SEO for a local corporation is a lot easier because it's less competition. If you try to do it internationally or nationally, it's a little harder, but not impossible. But if you're starting off just small where you're located, I'm gonna mute you really quickly because I'm getting a little feedback, and then when I ask you questions, I'll bring you back on. Is that all right? Okay. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to find out who your competitors are, and we're going to go through SpyFood really quickly. And there's a bunch of different websites and things that do this. I'm just showing you this one. So this can show you like how much they're paying for keywords, their organic keywords, what those keywords are. Here's some recommendations. And so you want to look at who is their competitors, what key terms that they're creating content. The key terms that they're showing up for. And that's how you'll start to learn what type of content. Remember earlier in this series, we were talking about how content is super important. And sometimes you may try to figure out, well, what content am I creating? You want to create content that people are searching for so that when they do search for it, you will come up. Now, in Stephanie's case, she's doing something relatively new, and it sounds amazing. She is creating basically a new space of education to show people how to do this for themselves and create income for themselves, which is great. And so we're going to talk about her individual strategies in a second. But I wanted to show you SpyFood, how you can kind of use this to find out. Down here, we have the organic keywords. And so organic is going to mean, of course, they didn't pay for these particular keywords. And so the keywords that Panera Bread, for this example, is showing up for are these type of things. Now, the benefit of when you're looking at this for your competitor, you can say, oh, people search for this and they found my competitor. So I need to create content that's valuable, that's in this range of keywords and rank for those keywords. So that is what you would do for SEO. For my folks who have sent me emails asking, like, what do I create content about? Find out what people are searching for, and you can create content based on that. So for example, I've had a lot of cosmetic dentist clients in the States, and they want, when someone thinks about performing a certain, let's say, cosmetic procedure, they don't just wake up and think about it. They've been thinking about it for some years, and you want to find out what they've been searching for so that they can find you specifically. And if you do this based on a location, it's a lot easier versus if you were doing internationally. So SpyFood is something that I want people to consider when I was talking about creating the content. And so I'm gonna bring Stephanie back, because we're going to talk about her business specifically, and how if you have a physical business but are looking to make it more digital, some steps that you can take. So Stephanie, in this case, you're in this space that a lot of people are not in or know how to do that. So for you, I would recommend that you create content, because some people don't even know that this exists. So you first have to create content letting them know that it exists and what's the benefit of these type of things and how they can change their life with doing this, so that then in turn you can market your class. So the best way, I'm sorry, I'm still getting feedback. So the best way to do that is to start to create the content. Tell your story, how you got started. Hold on, I got you muted, so I can't hear you yet. But I'm gonna say this, and then I want to hear you talk. So I want you to tell your story, so that people know how you got into this, and then that also creates a personal connection with your audience. Then tell them, just how this has changed your life. What were the difficulties? What did you learn? Just everything that you had experienced during this process. And what you can end up doing is helping them adjust the learning curve. So for those individuals who want to work with you in Buffalo, you can tell them that. But if people want to sign up for your online course, you can do that as well. So let me hear from you a little bit and talk to me. What are your thoughts?
I just want to apologize.
Your volume is we getting so much feedback from your volume. Let's see.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure what to do, Stephanie.
Maybe.
I didn't even hear what you said, huh?
Oh, wow. It's a truck outside my house.
Try coming out, and going back in again and see if that'll help. So sorry about that, folks, but I really want to hear Stephanie's story, because I think this is fascinating. But for those of you, start telling what it is that you're doing, particularly if you're in a market where people don't even know that they need it or that this exists. So I think Stephanie's program is ideal for online, but more importantly, because states are going to be different, I think creating content, finding that out to see if it's something that an individual can do in their state. The free content revolving around that is how they would research if something like that is available, which it should be, but even the process of researching it in that state. I know states are super, super specific. So Stephanie can create content that will help them do that. Like, give people the tools they would need to research it. And then when it's time for them to execute, then they can take your course. So we did this earlier today. For those of you who are joining me live, I appreciate it. But we did it earlier today because I'm going on a picnic. It's Friday, so I'm going to be working on a picnic. So we're doing this early. Okay, let's bring Stephanie back and let's cross fingers because we want to hear from you. No, it's still bad, Stephanie. You know what I'll end up doing? We'll probably try to pick this up another way. Is her cell phone near the computer? That's a good question. No, it's not. Damn, her cell phone is not near the computer. Okay, Stephanie, we'll possibly have to do is I may have to just interview you separately, and we won't do it live. And maybe that's some of the issue, and maybe we'll do a Zoom and we'll bring it back. Let's see. How do you sound? Say something.
Can you hear me?
Yes. What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
What?
I don't know. My house is freaky. I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to move anything on the table. No,
that's perfect. So basically what I was saying, Stephanie, is that you can start to create content that will tell people how to research the process for their individual state. Because if you're going to do this online, naturally, you're going to have people that are located all over the world.
I have the information already.
Yes. So
I'm sorry. I really have everything. I mean, I have everything on paper.
Your challenge is your challenge how to create the platform to do the class?
Yes, like I want to create like a pre-recorded class on the platform. I've been looking at Canva, and also like you asked me, how did I get clients in, my small area in Buffalo, even though I want to do it throughout New York State and, across the country. But, those are the things I did. So online, you can't do that. It's kind of like I'm trying to figure out how to get, I created a commercial, like a little Doodly commercial about it and what I do. And people here pretty much know what it is. They know what it is. They think they're been a recipient of it or they know somebody, if you say it, they know exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. They just don't know how to do it. And my issue is just to get the audience online.
Right. So your audience, so just like you kind of like knock on doors in those cases, with online, it's about what people are searching for. So that's why I'm saying like to go to Google. So right now your target audience are probably looking for other ways to make money. And that's probably going to be the direction you should go. So I'm going to mute you again because the feedback's coming in. So for example, you can say things like, are you looking to make extra money? I'll show you my story. And put in key terms in that in your titles, depending on what platform you use to kind of do some grassroots marketing. If you want to do YouTube, YouTube is very keyword specific. So if, have a car, looking for making extra money, that type of thing. But if you are using something like Instagram, like we talked before, is an intranet. So it's a bit more difficult. And the same with Facebook, unless you're going to pay to be in front of people. Now, in your case, you might want to experiment with some ads, but you need to come up with the appropriate price point so that when you're doing online ads, you have to make sure that your cost per lead matters a lot, because if you pay too much for your lead, by the time it comes to you and you actually get the revenue, you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot. So that you have to kind of understand your price point first, how much you're going to charge for it, what you're giving, so that if you pay, let's say $15 per lead, but you're selling the course for, a couple $100, then that could work. However, it just depends on what your cost per lead is going to cost. And that goes down a whole rabbit hole of things. But there are a variety of things you can do organically before you pay for ads, just so you can test. If you haven't done ads before, I wouldn't recommend people spend money on it, because there's going to be a lot of mistakes you're going to make. And if you are immediately trying to get business, you're going to pay for the mistakes and potentially go in the red. And that's not really what I want for you. So what you want to do now is start to focus on content. Start to do a timeline as to how you started. Start with your story. Make it a couple, make it short and sweet. Determine what platform you want to show up to tell people about this program. Tell them how you got started, how this can benefit their life, what they would need to do, how they would research it. Come up with those top 10 questions and create content for those, answering those questions. And then start to distribute that. The platform in which you distribute it is going to depend. You can do Facebook, you can do YouTube. I prefer YouTube because it's very search specific. And from that, you'll start to get questions, and then you can start create more content from the questions. So for example, you sent me a question. Now we're here talking about it. And that's the content that we're using to showcase you, in addition to how someone else can do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So let's give you some action items. If you put, how do people find out about you now? Like, can you put this, do you see the comments on the right-hand side?
No, I don't see.
Can't see the comments. Because I want you to type in or email it back to me. Are you online at all? The website or anything where people can contact you? You can email it back to me later.
You said, am I on the website?
Yeah. Are you online at all?
Yes, I have a website for my transportation company. Mm-hmm. I do. Is that
how people will contact you?
Yes, that's how people contact me, but it's not how they contact me for the class. They contact me for services. But some people do contact me that way because they know I do it and they want to know how to do it. So they'll contact me that way.
So if you could just give me that link, I'll put it in the description box. And for those of you who are just joining today, there is a link for the digital Nomad toolkit go ahead and download that, and that's how you'll get access to me, so that I can send you emails and we can finish the series with your questions and how things apply to your business specifically. So when this video is over, Stephanie, if you can send me an email with your website, so we can put that in the description box of this video in case anyone is interested in the process of doing this, because I think it sounds remarkable. I think kudos to you for creating this, and I think it'll be super easy to transition it online, and we can talk about that. But right now, just start creating the content. And when you create the content, similar to, like, I'm not telling you all to do anything that I don't already do or I don't get my clients to do. So what happens is you want to be able to communicate with your audience. People, even for this series, are downloading the digital nomad toolkit, and that's how I'm able to communicate with you directly. So what you might want to consider is creating the content. An email service provider is going to be super important, because when people go to the content and they absorb the content, you got to give them something to download so that you can continue to communicate with them. And in that process, then you can continue to nurture that relationship and see what your audience needs. Because sometimes we can create these courses and we don't even know what they need. You know what I mean? Like where they're stuck or where they're having issues. And when you're able to communicate with your audience directly, you're able to find that out. So sometimes when you're so far removed, which is the case for me, because I've been doing digital marketing so long, I would forget where someone who's starting would have issues. So I would need someone who's just starting to tell me what their issues are. So I remember, oh yeah, you could do this. You know what I mean? So because you're in your industry, you want to hear from complete novice that have no idea how to begin to ask you these questions, so that when you're starting to create your overall course, you can make sure to add that as well. And of course, because you're developing this relationships online are a lot different than in person. Like in person, you can feel somebody's energy, you can meet them, you smile, and you have this body language. You don't have that online, you know? So the way that you develop these relationships is getting the emails and communicating with people, finding out what they need. And that's how you start to build your relationships. So you can automate this whole process. And maybe I'll spend a day kind of showing what that is, but none of it matters if you don't have content. If you don't have content that's going to bring people back to you and want to, learn more from you, it's all going to be irrelevant. So I think sometimes we get caught up in the tech of how to execute it. But if we don't have the customers, all of that's irrelevant. So for you, I'm going to say, create the content, create top 10 questions, top 10 things people should know, and start distributing that. You got any questions for me?
No, but I've already actually created the content.
How much content you got?
I'm sorry?
How much content you got? How many pieces of content?
How many? I'm sorry?
How many pieces of content?
What do you mean? Like different ways, or like?
No. Like, do you have, let's say, 5 videos, 6 articles, or
no,
what do you have?
I have. Okay, so what do you mean by content? Because I have.
You told me you already had it. How you gonna tell me you already had it and you don't know what it is?
I created with my class content. So I'll create it like a video.
No. I'm talking about the initial marketing, like letting people know what you are. So not your course, because right now people don't even know your course exists.
Okay.
So what you need to do is create content to let people know why they need to work with you or why they need this course.
Okay.
So the content for the course is cool. But right now, people don't even know that this is even something they could do. You know what I mean? So you have to create the content to show, to get them even educated that this is a thing. And then the process is, okay, so what do I do? You follow what I'm saying? So you're creating content to get people more educated that this exists. Then you're going to start to get a bunch of questions like, well, how do you get into it? And is it in my state? Like, trust me, questions are going to come from all over. Okay. And it's those questions that you use to create your additional content so that you can attract more people to you. Okay. You follow what I'm saying? So once you have that, your course, great, but you got to get people to know about your course. And in the online world, you do that through content. Like I said before, your content is going to be your 24-hour, 7 days a week, salesperson.
So recorded content, that's what you're talking
You can do
about.
recorded. You can do, I'll say this, do the type of content that you feel comfortable doing. So if you feel comfortable on video, do it in video. I prefer video because it gives you a level of metrics that a lot of other content can't offer. You can do audio, you can do articles. Video is going to turn results a lot quicker.
Okay.
And you want to start to find places that your audience is already at online. So let's say you said that you would go to Uber drivers and tell them how they can do it. There are Uber forums of Uber drivers online. They're Facebook groups.
I tried a couple of those, and they kind of was like, one of their rules was you couldn't advertise or something.
Yeah. So you do have that. Like usually if you're going to pop in someone's group, they're not going to want you to advertise so that you're pulling people out of their group. But in that process, talk about ways that people can make money. You can even do a YouTube video. Say, if you're an Uber driver, here's some other options for money. Now, I do want you to check the intellectual property of being allowed to say Uber in the video selling your product. I don't know how that works, but you use something more generic like what are these type of companies called? Car share companies, car ride companies, whatever the generic word is. You can use that. You can say if you work for one of these companies, consider this, or here's another way to make money. There's a variety of ways you can pull that type of content if that is your target audience. But also your target audience can be a variety of people because, anyone with a car and can pass, I'm assuming, I hope, a type of criminal check.
Yeah. But it's
so this is
limited. I've had students that came right out of incarceration and did it. So,
So I think the big key right now with your situation is letting people know that it exists.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have, known. I mean, I'm sure I know there's people doing it, but I wouldn't even know that you could do it as an individual. And then what type of liabilities, like breaking all of that down. And letting people know what the process is and how they can do this for themselves. But I think more importantly, at the beginning, like share your story, because I would want to know who is this person and why are they telling me about this and how did it change their life? And then from that, you create the content. So again, folks, if you have any questions about your business in particular, go ahead and download the Digital Nomad Toolkit. You'll get an email from me, reply back to that email with your questions. We have a good amount of people, not a good amount. We got a couple people here today. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. And I know we did things a little early today, but I'm going out for a picnic and for lunch. And wanted to get Stephanie on. So, Stephanie, if you have any other questions or anything that you wanted to tell the audience?
No, I don't actually. I don't
How do you feel? Do you feel a little bit better? Do you feel like you have some direction?
I do. You helped me a lot because I was just kind of like, I don't know which way to go, but the content thing is key because I'm just thinking about my course and kind of just giving it to I'm still in a brick and mortar classroom mindset. So I wasn't thinking like content. Like, when I told you I had content, I'm still thinking my class. That's my content. So it helped that I have to actually get it out there to people and the strategy to do that.
Right.
And tell my story. Because I do tell my story in the classroom. I have to tell my story, online now.
And that's what I think. I'm excited. I can't wait for you to tell me that you have it all and it's going great. So again, the content we're talking about, folks, if you're just joining us, is going to be marketing content. So you're going to have your ultimate product. But and let me just add, for those of you who are in the product field and you want to sell more stuff online, start to demonstrate some of the products that you have in your store. How does your store look? Like, bring people down, send them to your Shopify store if you're selling it online, or whatever your website is, platform that you're using to sell online. But just show people what you do. Show people how it works, how working with you is. Get some testimonials, because at the front end you're going to need some marketing content, and ultimately you have your product, but people got to know about it. And the way people know about it is through the content that you put out there.
No, I did do an Instagram live. And I
Okay.
actually had one of my students on with me to
Okay,
tell
good.
their experience.
Good, good, good. So you're going to keep doing content.
Okay.
Because content, again, what I say, that's going to be a 24 hours, 7 days a week person. And doing it once is not going to be effective because no algorithm that exists online cares if somebody's doing something once.
Okay. So keep
Algorithms are,
doing it. That's
yeah,
my
algorithms are going
content.
to reward consistency. Because remember the reason why these websites exist, like they exist because they make money through ads and data, basically. And so if you help them keep people on a platform, then ultimately they will help put you in front of more people. So I
Okay.
know some people, and then marketing, regardless of how you do it, is always a constant consistency thing. You don't just do marketing once and then go to sleep and run your business. Marketing is always going to be an ongoing thing. So that way you can keep the funnel of people continuously coming in. If you just do something once, it'll go stagnant and then you run around trying to get clients again. So you want to make sure that you have this constant wheel of marketing coming up. And the easiest way to do that is to create content. And if you put yourself on a schedule of creating content and answering questions, that way you make sure that there's a constant flow of more and more people knowing about you. You follow what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So just push that out, get the content together, and I'm excited. So if no one has any questions, I'm gonna hop off because I have a picnic to go to. I'll be on here tomorrow. I'm assuming I might come back at 3 p.m. again, just because that's a little bit later for the East Coast. Because in Europe, we're a 5-hour difference from you guys. Thank you for this content. You are so welcome, honey. Clinton Anderson, thanks for being such. I appreciate that, Clinton. I really do. So again, guys, if you haven't downloaded the Digital Nomad Toolkit, just go ahead and download that. And you'll get an email from me. Just reply back to that and I can answer your questions. And that way we can do it. So again, I'm going to be doing this probably for the next couple of days until I have to go to the States to visit my family. But I want people to know how to look at their business in an online way. And for even for Stephanie and anyone else, once you get your core business and that feels good, then you want to make sure you have like multiple sources of income for your business because all of this stuff fluctuates. Take it from a woman who knows. It fluctuates. One revenue stream can be flat, another one can be high, but if you only have one, you can struggle. So online courses are great and you can do series of workshops and ebooks and a whole bunch of other things that can add on to that can make sure that you will have more SKUs for revenue. But that's at another date. We'll talk about that later. Right now, we're getting this primary one up and running. Stephanie, thanks for hopping on with me. I appreciate
you. Thank you so much, Cinnamon. You have been a blessing. I thank you so much. And I appreciate you letting me come on your platform.
Absolutely.
I really do. I really do. You're godsend.
Thank you. And go ahead and send me an email of however you want people to reach out. If you're going to build your platform on Instagram or however you're doing it, email that to me and I'll put it in the description box of this video. So for those of you who are watching the recording, probably not today, but over the weekend, I'll put it in the description box so you can reach out to Stephanie and get more information.
Okay, I definitely will. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, guys. Till next time.